all here. I love to
You
play
don't want to.
around. I love to play around with these things all around me, Aaron, and because it's my schedule is all calls after calls after calls. We're live, by the way, and Aaron is my guest today. We met in Dallas, and you know, it was a no-brainer for us to have a conversation. And I'm glad that we're having this conversation approximately 2 months after we first met. Welcome to the show, Aaron from Team Follow Up. Aaron is running an amazing organization working with marketing agencies mainly, doing lead follow up, which is a need of the hour, I must say. Um, and over to you, bud.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for the warm welcome. Like you said, we met. It was surprising because we've been in a few groups together, right? So I've heard of your name before. I know you're around, but I haven't ever actually had a chance to probably speak with you. But obviously, you've both been exhibitors at the GHL event. It was just a
Mm.
easy chance to have a chit chat, right, and figure out there was a bit of synergy there. So yeah, I'm super excited to be here. I appreciate you having me on.
That's awesome. So before we get into what Team Follow Up does, Aaron, do you want to give us a brief history about who you are and how did you end up founding or co-founding Team Follow Up?
Yeah, it's founding. So I used to. Oh, how far back do you want to go?
I want to go as far as is it's relevant, right? We're all people like you and I, and we all have very different journeys. But I find that somewhere along the way, it clicks for somebody listening from somewhere, right? And that university story, like me, failing my computer networking class and dropping it, and learning the lesson of making sure you ask for it. That's what my professor told me when I dropped that class for the third time, and it's like you got to ask for it, man, if you need help. And that lesson always stayed with me, and the rep stack story is based off of that lesson. So if you have anything relevant
I
like
love
that,
it.
I'd love to hear
Yeah. And I love the. No one's ever said that to me before about like
it.
the reason why. I never thought about the reason why I give my backstory, but you're right. It can help potentially inspire someone who was in a similar situation to me or is in a similar situation to me and progress them forward. So yeah, I'll start from like. So I'll start after university. So I went to university, did a degree in physics. I'm not that smart. I was just good at exams, so that was pretty good. Passed that, did pretty well. Got a job as an engineer. And in fact, 2 years I worked as an engineer, and I just absolutely hated my life. I would like wake up every day. I'd get on the like. I'd always have to. I only got like 5-6 hours sleep a night, which was terrible. I hated that. Get up, and then like every kind of moment I had in between walking to the train station, being on the train, I was always like listening to audiobooks, right? Listening to like Tony Robbins, all that kind of stuff, reading as much as I could just to learn as much as I could. And then it got to a point where someone reached out. Sorry, that was it. I posted on a few I tried to start an app. That never worked. I started like 2 or 3 different apps. That never worked. Tried to do drop shipping, didn't work. And I did all this like this 2 year period of me working for this company. And then one day I just kind of got so frustrated. I posted on a bunch of Facebook groups and I was like, can anyone mentor me? Just like I don't know what I'm trying to do these things. None of them are working. Like, can anyone just like help me on what I need to do? And so I got a few people reach out, and one guy was like, "Hey, I know of a mastermind that will teach you how to start an agency and blah blah." And at the time, an agency sounded really icky to me. It sounded like I've only ever heard bad things about agencies. Like they take your money and then they don't do great in terms of results. And then it's just like a horrible situation. So I wasn't a huge fan of that. But I got on a call with him, and
Are we? Don't tell me we're getting to that level of car salesmen and lawyers,
exactly.
agency
That's
owners.
what I felt
Okay.
like. That was just my personal opinion. I think it's because my mum used to try and use an agency before with one of her like small businesses, and it never worked. So I just maybe when I was younger, I just saw a bad thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I had this kind of like bad feeling about them. So I didn't like the fact that people were paying me to like try and get them results. I really didn't like that. But anyway, so I got on a call with this guy. His name was Timmy, and he was like, he basically was such a good sales guy that he was like, dude, like you have to do this. It's like $2,000 to join the mastermind up front. And in my head, I'm like, $2,000. I'm like, it's like no freaking like. And so I remember at the time, like
Was that a monthly fee
no,
or
that
what
was just
was
a
it?
one-time fee, and then it was like $100 a month. It was nothing, right? It
Okay.
was really good.
Okay.
It was a really, really good deal. Um,
Yeah.
and I ended up, and I had no, I like in my bank account, I had like, so in the UK, I think you have the same thing in the US. You have the overdrafts. So I was like the way I used to know how much money I had was rather than looking at my bank balance, I used to look at my available balance, because my available
Yeah.
balance would tell me you've got 100 and something pounds in your available balance, which means I was like minus 2,000 something. Like, I don't know what it was, right? So I remember looking at that and being like, I ain't got enough money. And so I messaged my girlfriend, who's now my wife, and I was like, hey, I need like £200. Like, can you, because I had to put a deposit down. I was like, can you send me £200? And then this is the great thing about my wife. Like, she's very supportive. She didn't even ask me why. She just sent it to me. I was like, what a hero. So I paid the deposit, and like 6 months later, I was still like delaying this, trying to get the money, blah, blah. Eventually the guy was like, look, you either pay the money or I'm like, you're losing all the money you've paid. I don't care. I was like, damn. So I did this. And then I ended up like following this course. And that's the thing. Like, I become very, very coachable. When I started this course, I was like, I'll become such a moldable person. I'll do anything you tell me. I don't care. Like, I want to be successful. So anyway, they taught me a load of really cool stuff. I was doing loads of things, and I got like my first client. And we're using Upwork. You must know Upwork, right?
Yeah.
So we're using Upwork to get deals. And I finally got my first like paying client, and I was like, and it's actually quite funny because before I got my first paying client, I ended up handing my notice in my job. So I resigned from my job, even though I had no money. But I was like, in my head, I saw so many guys winning in this course. I was like, they can't be that much smarter than me. Like, they can't be. So it's like, as long as I just put the work in and do what they did, like it will work. Like, there's no way it can't work, right? So I saw these guys posting like, I made 40 grand this month, I made this much, and I was like, oh my god, this is insane. So anyway, did that. Quit my job because I thought if I go full time, I'll be able to do it. Luckily enough, in between that time period, like in between my notice period, I ended up finding a couple of clients, which was great. And then from there, I just grew the agency. I grew away from artwork. I actually got a business partner, which didn't go great in the end of it all. But yeah, how I got into team follow up was that I had a break from my business partner, and I was like, I don't want to do another agency. What can what's the biggest problem that agency owners are facing right now? And also, with my skill set, what is the biggest thing that like can be my competitive advantage against anyone that wants to compete against me? And I love systems, I love operations, I love like product, I love all that kind of stuff. A lot of guys are great at marketing, and they love doing the lead gen and the marketing and the video. Like, I'm not, I just don't enjoy that stuff that much, and I'm not that good at it. So rather than trying to compete on like the marketing front, I'm like, right, okay, well, if I build a really complicated company in which like there aren't many competitors in my space, because trying to manage 60 plus appointment setters, all with 40, 50 different projects, 40, all different clients, 40, 50 different clients, 100 different projects, it becomes really difficult. So that was like my competitive moat. And yeah, that's how I started Team Follow Up 2 years ago. And we've signed up some really big clients. There's a client that I think I told you about. I'm not allowed to mention because it's a white label basis, but you definitely would have heard of the agency. They're very, very big. It's going great. Yeah, very, very happy with it all.
That's amazing, man. What a great story. And, our girlfriends and our wives and our fiancés to the rescue. I
For
think
sure.
that's a common thread. I can most definitely relate to this. More than once or twice where, she's gotten me out of a jam, like no more options. This is it, baby. What am I gonna do?
100%.
Sell the jewelry. And that's like, my wife did that, right? Back in 2017 when I had to buy out my partner. Again, relating back to the partner story. And I think that also a lot of us go through those things to get to the points where we get to, some good partnerships. My partnerships weren't bad, but they were learning experience. We got to a point where we needed to get to. We parted ways. But at the part of the last partnership, before RepStack, I had to pay out my partner like 26 grand for him to be gone from the company. And I just did not have that money. And it was end of the year. And, this is like end of 2017. And, like she pitched in like big time, man. And, but the long story short is that had I not done that, this whole enterprise would not have started because I got the autonomy to run my business the way I wanted to. For the next 2 3 years, I had the best years inside the agency, and then from there, RepStack kind of started out. So
Yeah, man.
You can pinpoint those points where, things are big moments are happening, right? The moment of truth and things like that.
There are so many times where I look back at things and like there'll be a pure coincidence to something happened, and you're
Hmm.
like, how much of a big impact that had on your life and your business. And you're like, imagine if imagine if that didn't happen. Imagine if, like, for example, like that guy, the guy that I mentioned in the story that I made them posts. I actually the guy that's called Timmy. I actually spoke to Timmy afterwards. I was like, quick question, like, did you do that a lot? Like, reach out to people who were like posting in these groups and stuff? He was like, no, to be honest, I never did that. I just like was randomly on Facebook. I just saw your name, and just like saw your, and I just like thought, I I might as well message him. And so, like, them little things, like if he just wasn't on Facebook for that day for some reason, like, whatever it was, like the whole course of my business life could be completely different. So it's
Yeah,
weird how, yeah, these little things, man, how they affect things.
that's awesome, man. So what great stories. So talk to me a little bit about team follow up and how is it set up? How does a client come in and works with you guys?
Yeah, for sure. So we specifically work with agency owners, right? So I get a lot of, for example, like gyms or a lot of lawyers or whatever. They'll reach out to me directly and be like, "Hey, I heard you got a call center. Can you phone up my leads?" And we turn them away because we only really want to be working with agency owners that use Go High Level, and it's really a white label solution is what we've built, right? So how it works is that if if an agency wants to work with us, then we have an onboarding period. We have a whole Go High Level snapshot. So the thing about us is that we work entirely inside of your Go High Level account. So we don't use any external dialers or anything like that. So that way, then your clients genuinely believe that it is your own call center. If we have to use external dialers, it kind of like defeats the purpose there, because when the client wants to see what's going on, the agency owner can't provide it because it's not within their Go High Level account, right? Because we have an external
Hmm.
or whatever it is. It gets really messy. So we work entirely inside your Go High Level account. We have all the snapshot already built out, ready to go. How it works is that
Hmm.
when we onboard you, we take our snapshot, we load it into your account, and then we basically go through it with you like on a live call. And we work out what automations we need to keep, what automations we need to remove. If there's anything else that we've got to delete, we tidy it all up, make sure it works well with what you're doing. And then a few days later, we literally go live. How it works is we have a 24/7 calling team, and a 7-day follow-up team. They're two separate teams. So 24/7 calling team, that means as soon as a new lead comes in, it's going to notify our team, and then we're going to phone that lead up within 5 minutes, put them in for an appointment. If that lead didn't answer the phone, they then get put into the power dialer, and then we're going to phone them twice a day, every day for 7 days in a row. We handle all the SMS. We've actually built out some really sophisticated AI bots as well, which we're rolling out at the moment to clients, which we're really excited for. And yeah, when we go live as well, we make sure we have a call with you 3 times a week, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We have a call with you for the new campaign, just to make sure, because this is the thing, right? There's always bugs. Go High Level alone will create bugs, so let alone when you're trying to import a whole new snapshot and all that stuff, it can be a lot of
Hmm.
problems.
Hmm.
So we have that call with you every few days, just to make sure everything's rolling nicely. And then that's pretty much it. And then how it works is we have like an onboarding form. All you do is every time you got a new client for us, you fill out the onboarding form, and then bam, you're good to go.
That's amazing, man. It's such a simple process, even though it's not that simple of a service. In fact, it's really complex, especially if you're trying to do it yourself. Because we're
Yeah,
in that people business as well, and I know like how long it takes for sales development to ramp up, and especially when you don't have systems and processes in place and things like that. You're trying to do something like this. It's just like you can't do that.
this is the thing as well. It's like, so there's two parts to this. The first part is that um, we don't our reps, they aren't trained, and as weird as this sounds, they're not trained on sales. Like, we're not there to like try and close the deal. We're not there. We're not doing anything like that. We're literally just taking warm leads who have opted into an ad, who want to be phoned, and we're just phoning them up, having a brief conversation, maybe qualifying them a little bit, and then booking them into the calendar. We don't take deposits or anything like that as well, because like it becomes more of a sales call at that point, and our team
Hmm.
just aren't experienced enough on your projects to be able to sell the lead that way. The second thing is when it comes to building in house, yeah, it's honestly like I've actually started collecting videos of agency owners telling me that they wish they didn't bring it in house, and they wish they like, because it's such. I've got so many agency owners now that like they try to bring it in house and they just decided to just scrap the whole thing. And I'm like, hey, work with us. We can do it for you. And they're like, I don't care anymore. I'm done with the call center, because they didn't have the right systems. They didn't have the right skills. They didn't have any of the right stuff. And so it's just like people think it's easy, and what I don't appreciate is building a call center in your agency is literally like starting another company. It's literally like starting another company. It's not the same thing in any way, shape, or form. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's
Yeah, and
difficult.
then imagine that, right? For example, just one client, you could be generating, I don't know, like 200, sometimes more leads, opt-ins, like for a flooring store, every single month. And how many of those do you have, right? Like if you have like 30, 40, 50 clients, and imagine multiplying those leads up, the clients are obviously not doing a great job on there. Somebody coming in quickly, dialing these people, pre-qualifying them, booking them on your clients' calendars. That's just like it's a no-brainer, right, for the right people. But I do agree that and that's us entrepreneurs, right? Like we get bitten a couple of times, it doesn't work out, we think that it's not going to work out.
That's
So
exactly
there's
it. Yeah,
there's
and that's the
always
thing as well.
ways.
It's not even about like a lot of my clients, it's not even about trying to get them more booked appointments. Even if we can just take it off their plate and just like, even if we can say to them, hey, we can get you the exact number of appointments, but you get 10 hours a week back, 15 hours a week back. You don't have to sit there when you're with your young child and you're trying to enjoy your Thursday evening or something. And then you're
Mm,
constantly watching your phone because you know you've got to be contacting new leads when they come in. You haven't got to do that
mm,
anymore. I've literally got a
mm.
client right now who said that to me the other day. He was like, your service has literally given me more time with my son. Like, thank you so much. Because like, I don't have to
That-
worry about it. I can just enjoy my time, and I know that leads are getting phoned fast and consistently. So yeah, it's powerful.
Yeah, that's great, man. And talk to me a little bit about how your pricing structure is set up. Like, for example, if I have a client who has a flooring store and we're generating around 200 leads for them every month, where would your service plug in?
Yeah, for sure. So we have a one-time setup fee for the agency owner. So that's not like per client or anything like that. It's just so we can get the go high level snapshot imported. That we've got a whole reporting system we build for you as well. So that's 3K, just like dollars, just to get you as an agency onboarded. And then when you've got a client you want to give us, it's $500 a month for that client, and that's unlimited leads. So it's unlimited calling,
Mm,
unlimited leads. We don't charge. It's not like a lot of other people charge like per minute or per lead or something like that. We don't do anything like that. We just do the $500 a month, and we do it this way because if you're white labeling something, you can't keep going back to your client every week or every month and say, "Hey, different price this month." Like,
mm,
and also kind of it incentivizes, but the opposite way around for agencies. Decentivizes, is that the word? I don't know if that's the right word.
hmm
But it stops the agency from wanting to produce more leads, right? Because if the agency owner knows the more leads I generate, the more money it's going to cost me in calling, then
mm,
I'm like, it kind of like, and if they're getting paid the same amount from the client, regardless, they kind of like, although they're not going to actively do this, like subconsciously, they kind of don't want more leads because they know it's going to
mm.
cost them more. So we just have a fixed 500 a month for unlimited leads, like I said, and that way, then the agency owner, they know they're paying $500 a month, and that's it. They ain't got to worry about anything else. So it works really
Well,
well.
that's a great upsell opportunity for agency owners.
Oh,
They can.
100%. I've got a lot of clients that will charge $1,000 a month, 1,500 bucks. Got some that charge $1,500 a month to their clients, and the clients still pay it every month because it's like, and then they make
That's
a
a
nice
that's
little
a
markup.
no-brainer, man. If and then I'm assuming that the calls that your teams are making are to usually local small businesses.
Yeah,
That's
like chiropractors, gyms, lawyers, dentists,
hmm,
roofers, that kind of stuff.
that's awesome, man. And the potential for upsell is just incredible. Like selling between $1,000 and $2,000, it should be a pretty piece of cake because, I can just keep going back to my client, the flooring store owner, who's running around like a chicken with a head cut off and doing everything himself, taking the phone calls while he's going from appointment to appointment, and like having somebody just load up his calendar so that at least he doesn't have to answer the calls in between. His voicemail is always filled up and things like that, right? So,
Should I tell you the biggest problem that we have when that happens
hmm,
is that clients don't have enough availability. And that's the most frustrating thing. So we end up filling their calendar up, And then all of a sudden their appointment booking rate will go from like 50% to like 10%. And the client's like, why this? We've generated this many leads. There's been no bookings last week. What the hell's going on? And then we look into it. We're like, oh, because your client has literally like tomorrow 2 slots. That's all they have. Like, and people want to book in for the day after. People want to book in for that's the other thing as well. A lot of people work. They work 9 to 5. So if your client, we get some clients that like in med spa that they can be like a bit OTT, a bit like like divas. And they're like, well, in my med spa, I only do calls between 10 and 2. It's like, okay, well, people aren't going to, people might book appointments, but people aren't going to show up. Like, there's a direct correlation between the amount of availability you have in your calendar and the amount of shows you're going to get, like your show percentage. It's been proven many, many times. So that's the biggest problem we get is like, there's always something that like from the outside in, it looks great. There's always these other little problems that come in, So funny.
Yeah, that's a good point. That should usually trigger an opportunity to set up a new calendar and open it up for the right businesses, right? I feel that that's where you guys come in and do the coaching for the agency owners and the conversations that they should be having with their clients for when these type of problems.
Some of them just don't want it. Like I literally had a client today, and I was like, "Hey, can we get this client to open up another slot?" And they were like, "Sorry, more slots." And they said something like their sales guy had quit, and they're working on it. But
yeah,
like,
that's it.
Well, like, then we're going to keep getting a really bad booking rate until because like I can see that we have. So for example, with our team, we have 2 different calendars. We have the real calendar we book in, and we have something called a callback request. Callback request is if we phone someone up and for some reason they're not available, they're at work, whatever it could be, and it means that we're going to phone them back at a later date. So we're booking a callback, and I can see, for example, with this client today, last week we had like I can't remember how many leads, but we had 11 bookings, and then we had like 30 callback requests. And I was like, hold on a second, we've had 30. That's insane. Like, and when you listen to them, it's people being like, have you got tomorrow available? Oh no, they only have next Monday. They only have 4 slots next Monday. And so everyone's like, hey, have you got time Thursday? Nope. Friday? Nope. Saturday? Nope. And it's like, it's just like, okay, well, we can't, it gets really difficult, So yeah,
I hear you, man. But that's those are good problems to have, I guess.
I guess so.
Right.
I guess so.
And I was listening to these 2 kids talk in the gym, and this one kid is barely 18, 16 maybe. And he's like, I only want to work 9 to 5, and I don't want to do nights and things like that. And I am listening. I'm like, yeah, that's good, but sometimes you're gonna have to go out of your comfort zone to just grow. But there are people who just don't want to. They're comfortable there, right? But I would imagine that your service would come with some sort of reporting that the agencies can share back. What does that look like, Aaron?
Yeah. So we basically track. I can actually have a look at what it looks like. I don't know if I can share my screen on this, but
yeah, you should be able to.
Let me see if I can. I've got to be careful because I don't want to share like confidential information.
Yeah.
But let me see if. Oh. Yeah, I won't. Because it literally says the client's name and everything, so I won't share my screen. But basically, what it says is it's got number of leads that come in, how many outbound dials are made, how many outbound dials per lead. For example, so it'll be like a ratio. For example, so it'll be like there have been 6 outbound dials per lead, whatever else. There's things. So we've got outbound dials per lead, pickups. So we do. This is the difficult thing about Go High Level is that there'll be times where Go High Level will say you've had an answered call, but it wasn't answered, it was a voicemail. And so we use the timing of the calls to determine if the calls are answered or not. So we count a pickup as anything longer than 40 seconds, and then we count a conversation anything longer than 2 minutes. So we can see how many pickups per new leads, how many conversations per new leads. We can then see where is it? Conversations per new leads. Then we've got appointments booked per new lead, and then callback requests booked as well. And then we can see from there, like, everything we do. And that way, then if we do see there's a low booking rate for whatever reason, it's really important to track this data because if you don't know where the bottleneck is. For example, if I see that we had 1,000 leads come in and we only got 20 pickups, it's like, right, okay, I know there's a problem with the number. Is the number spam likely? Is the number, bad? Is there a bad caller ID? That kind of stuff. So you can figure it out pretty quickly once you've got the data.
Gotcha. So yeah, pretty straightforward. And then I assume that the agency owners can then now send these out as white label reports over to their clients.
So we don't. Good. It's a great idea. We don't have that yet, or we should have that. That's a good point. I don't have it. I don't have it where you can send the report if you're the agency owner. You can't send the report directly. Well, you can actually, but it would come up with team follow up, which you don't want to do that, right?
Mm,
It's more for us to determine with the agency owner because the agency owner would usually have their own reporting anyway, and they
mm,
usually want to tie in the cost per lead. They want to tie in like other metrics that we don't handle. So usually what we do is just share this with them, and then they'll pick the bits they want and put it in their own report. That's usually how it works.
awesome. How big is your team now, Aaron? How many people and how is the hierarchy looking?
Yeah, so we've got in terms of like management team, I've got a CSM, I've got a appointment agent, an agent like manager. I've got a technician who handles like all the client go high level issues. I've got an agent hiring quality assurance person. We've got an assistant. So we've got like 6 full-time like management team, and then
Hmm.
we've got in terms of appointment setters. These aren't all full-time people. We have a lot of like part-time, but we have. Hold on, I can tell you. So including them, so we have 65.
That's awesome, man. That's a
65
big
setters.
team, dude. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, man. It's great. It gives us we. It's funny because we've had to. So many people focus on the how to find new clients and that whole funnel on that end, like leads to calls to sales, that kind of stuff. We have to focus on that, and then on the complete parallel to that, we've had to focus it like on okay, where do we get new hires from?
Hmm.
What's like the number of applicants? What's the number of interviews that get scheduled? How many of the interviews actually show up? What's the show rate of the interviews? How we have to break down the funnel on that end as
Yeah,
well.
it's basically the same thing. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it gets
And the
crazy. So
recruitment funnel and the client funnel. So,
exactly that.
just the last few questions for you, Aaron.
All good.
In terms of your people, are they mostly based out of UK or is it a global team?
It's a
Where
global team.
are
Yeah, so mainly like Dominican Republic, Colombia, Philippines, South Africa, all over. To
That's
be honest with you,
awesome,
yeah.
man. So, like,
Go
how do you run a totally remote company like this with like 65 people, all reporting to the probably the six of part of you guys, the management team, but still you're at the head of everything. Like, what's the tricky part here? What are some of the things that people need to look out for as they grow their teams, especially in the remote global world?
It's a good question. I don't honestly think I've done anything special. I kind of feel like I've accidentally just fallen into this. Like I haven't like um what I mean by that is like I've got some really good people. But basically, like when I first was managing it all myself, I had maybe like 10 appointment setters, right? And
Hmm.
as we grew, I found people that were or that have experience in like the call center industry and hired them as managers. And then I was like, hey, like so I still obviously guide them and lead them and help them on things they need help with. But most of the things I'm like, this is a problem. Like you solve it. Like I don't care how you solve it, but you solve it. This like solve it. If you need my help with any of my skills, let me know. For example, if you need like a system build or you need like some weird thing that needs to happen, let me know. Or if you need my advice, let me know. But ultimately, you're the manager of this team, and so you've got experience. You've got more experience managing this kind of team than I have. So you handle you do what you got to do. And I'll often every day I have calls with them. I think that's really important with the leadership team. Every day I
Hmm. Hmm.
have like an hour call. I'm just like, hey, well, like, there'll be things that I'll bring up, things that they bring up. What's the problem? What's going on? And also just like have a bit of rapport with them, right? Have a bit of fun with them. I think that's important as well. And they'll bring things to me, and then from an outsider's perspective, they'll say something like, "Oh, this person's done this, this, and this." I'm like, okay, it's easy to blame that person, but what could we have done differently to make, like, for example, like we had a thing recently where the new hires weren't going through the onboarding properly. I'm like, okay, but
Hmm.
let's go through like, and I was like, okay, give me the onboarding. I want to go through the onboarding. Went through the onboarding, and I was like, well, this stuff isn't clear. This stuff isn't clear. Like, it's easy to blame the new hires, but like, you guys haven't. So it's stuff like that I do, and I consult in that way.
Nice. So pretty open leadership style, access to everyone, giving your time to your people,
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
and then really I think the base that I picked out is that really strong pro systems and processes and
100%.
SOPs
Yeah,
for
that is the
everyone
key
to
thing.
run on. So there's no
Yeah,
second guessing.
that's exactly the SOPs, the processes, and the data behind things, right? It's like knowing who's performing and who's not performing, and being able to track that and properly make decisions based on data rather than just emotional decisions.
Hmm.
And honestly, I think like the biggest thing as well is a lot of people don't want to jump on calls with their team. They're like, oh, I'm too busy or whatever else. Like, I think there was a thing I learned from Ty Lopez. There was a podcast I was listening to of his, and he said that when he was in the nightclub industry, he hired like he had some really successful nightclubs, and he hired
Hmm.
a guy and said, hey, look, I'm going to keep 50% of the profits. You keep 50% of the profits, and you just run them for me. And the guy was like, yeah, cool, sounds good. And he used to have a call with him once a month, right?
Hmm.
And about 6 months, all the nightclubs were like shut down. They're like in a really bad way. And he said in this podcast, he was like, if I just had a 30-minute call with him every day, that would have been really good. Like it would have been like completely different. It would have been well worth it. And when I heard that, I was like, okay, I need to have calls with my team every day. I think that's important. Like otherwise, things just fall apart very quickly, I think.
Talk to your people. I think that's a huge value bomb right there. Talk to your people. Don't leave them out. We owe it to them. I think, not just the other way around. And
Yeah,
just hear them
100%.
out. Like you'll find out so much, and you'll kind of catch things before they happen. If you're, you know,
100%. It's also putting your ego at the door as well. Like there are so many times where I'll speak to my team and they ask me something and I'm like, I don't know, like let's figure it out together. Like, or I'll make a mistake and I'm like, oh man,
yeah.
like that was completely on me, or my bad. Like, really sorry about that. And I'll say sorry to my team. And some people will be like, why are you saying sorry to them? They work for you. It's like, well, because I made a mistake. And like even the things like your terminology, I think when I speak about team follow-up, I own 100% of team follow-up. It's my company, right? But when I speak to my team, I'll say, I was talking about AI earlier, and I was talking about how AI is going to make a big impact in our space, and we got to be, got to be aware of it and that kind of stuff. And I was using words like our company and things like that. It's like, oh, we've got to make sure so when we prepare for our company doing this, and they don't own it, but like but they are a big part of it. So it's like it is our company, it is like that. So I think things like that make a big difference, and it just the terminology of the things you say, I think make a big
Yeah, and
difference.
then how much access they have to you and the coaching that you're doing also plays a big part in the culture that you build out. And it's not easy to attract 60 plus people around one vision and mission if you don't have the right processes, right culture, right leadership style. You're going
Yeah,
to have to learn really fast and adjust really, really quickly and do what Aaron you're doing, man. Congratulations, you're doing
appreciate it.
amazing. And I look forward to seeing you real soon. Where can people reach out to you?
Yeah, the best. I'm not great on the whole content side of things, but the best place will probably be my Instagram. It's literally just can people see my name on the?
Yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
it's literally my first name, and then it's and then it's underscore Darcan, and that's my Instagram handle. So that's the best place to find
And
me.
then there's a website as well.
Oh, that
Uh,
was. Hold on. Let me.
fi-
If I type it in here, if I put
yeah,
Aaron
just put
underscore,
put it in chat. We'll put it up.
that's the handle, and then my website is um like that.
Awesome. Let's get that up before we head out here. And thanks a lot, Aaron. I really appreciate it, man. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, man.
Enjoy. You're joining us from UK, or which city are you in?
Yeah, London. Well, near London.
London,
It's actually the county is called Essex. So,
Essex.
but London's
That's
the
all.
closest big city. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. I look forward to catching up with you real soon, my friend. Thanks
Yeah,
for
man.
taking your time and talking to us today. Really
Appreciate it
appreciate
as
it.
well. Thanks, man.
Have a
Speak
good
soon.
one. Bye bye.
Bye.